What's up guys, I'm the Stradman. Hope everyone's having a great day today. So how do I buy and sell cars? You know, buying and selling cars has been a really cool thing that I've been able to get into the last couple of years. And it's really cool to have a second income source and one that's pretty fun and it's pretty easy. I mean, in theory, it's a pretty simple concept. I mean, you know, you buy a car at a low price and if you're lucky, you'll sell it at a higher price and you'll make some money. And so I've done this a lot. You know, I have the Lamborghini in the video, and the reason for that is that it kind of, you know, it's a representation of some of the success that I've had doing this. Now, I don't want to portray that the profits I've made from buying and selling cars have exclusively paid for this car, because they haven't, but it's been an integral part of buying this car. You know, to have some other income sources has been awesome. I mean, it's been super cool for me. It's allowed me to, you know, keep driving this car. So buying and selling cars, to give you guys sort of a backstory, I spent a lot of time on the Los Angeles Craigslist, the San Francisco Craigslist, and I began to notice that prices of cars, you know, they were real sporadic. You know, like you'd have a couple Mini Coopers, for example. That's kind of what I'm going to use as the example car in this video because I bought and sold a lot of them. But I noticed that, you know, there was hundreds of Mini Coopers for sale in San Francisco, and the pricing wasn't all the same. There'd be a lot that were a lot cheaper than others and others that were a lot more expensive. And then I'd compare it to my local Craigslist. And in general, my local Craigslist, the Mini Coopers there were more expensive than the ones in San Francisco. And so, you know, this got my head thinking. And, you know, I've always thought of, you know, buying and selling a car, but it was super scary. You know, it was sort of just in the back of my mind. Graduated from college. It was, you know, the economy was doing pretty bad. I couldn't find a job. I moved back home. Lived with my parents for a while. It was a pretty low time in my life, to be honest. And you know, one day I put together a business plan. I went down to the credit union and I got a $10,000 loan. I used my Audi as collateral and I began to just research. And I found my first car. It was an Audi A4. I bought it for $6,500. About a week later, 10 days later, I sold it for $8,000. As soon as I sold that, I started looking for the second car. Bought a Mini Cooper S. Bought it for $9,000. I knew I got a great deal, and within a week I sold it for $13,000, and this was like mind-blowing. I mean, to make $4,000. I mean, I just graduated from college. You know, my college job, I made $8 an hour. I mean, $4,000. That was like what I made in a year almost at this part-time college job. So it was really eye-opening. It was like, wow, this is something cool. This is really cool. So this video, I want to talk about how I've done it. I don't have a book. I don't have a 1-800 number. That's not the point of this video at all. You know, I'm just a car guy and I have a YouTube channel and my subscribers are super cool and they've asked me to answer this question. So that's why I'm making this video, is for that reason. So I want to break the video up into 3 different categories. We have buying the car, selling the car, and then the last thing I want to talk about is dealer licensing, because that's a critical part as well. So buying the car, you know, there's not like a specific car I would recommend buying. It's not like you have to buy this car at this price and that's the only way to do it. I think any type of car will work. It doesn't matter. But as far as my 3 recommendations as far as what car to buy, first thing, you know, is consider your geographical location. When you're driving down the freeway, what kind of cars are driving around you? You know, here in Park City, it's in the mountains. You know, we get a lot of snow in the wintertime. A lot of cars have all-wheel drive. You know, there's a lot of trucks, a lot of SUVs, and we really want to focus our search on cars that meet our target market. And we want our target market to be as big as possible. And our target market should be a representation of what is in our community. If you're in like Southern California and you're on a freeway, you know, it's going to be a lot of economical sedans, front-wheel drive, because they don't have to worry about winter. You know, their commutes are longer. They want cars with good gas mileage. So, you know, consider all those factors. And the last thing, like, if you've had success buying a certain car, keep buying that car, because you might as well run the success or you might as well run it until it goes dry. So I bought and sold a lot of Mini Coopers for that exact reason. And the cool thing about that is you learn so much about that type of car, you become an expert. It's like with Mini Coopers, you know, after owning that first one, when I went to go look at that second one, I kind of knew what to look for. You know, I knew how the car should sound, I knew how the car should drive, handle. You know, I know how the interior should look. You know, just the little idiosyncrasies of every kind of car. One of the first Mini Coopers I had, it had a check engine light come on. You know, I had to spend a couple hours diagnosing it, buy the part, fix it. And then I think it was my 3rd or 4th one, had the exact same check engine light. And what was super cool is that I already knew how to fix it. I was able to get in my past emails, pull up the receipt with the part number, and just order another one. Like, it was so cool. So I would recommend, if you're having success, keep buying the same car. If you're not, like I had a BMW X5, that car, I couldn't sell it. It was not a good car. It was not successful in that case. So I haven't bought, another BMW X5 since. So if you're having success, keep buying the same car. Now, as far as the tools I use to buy a car or how I get a good deal, pretty much primarily I'm on Craigslist, AutoTrader, eBay. I use Kelley Blue Book to make sure that the value of what I think a car is worth is what other people think a car is worth as well. But how do you get a good deal on a car? It's all about doing research. Research. You'll spend hours on Craigslist creating like a spreadsheet of all the Mini Coopers. Maybe there'd be like 10 or 15 of them. It'd have, price and miles, and it'd have location, of course, and you could compare all 15 Mini Coopers. You'd have a link to the Craigslist, and you could almost create a graph based off price and mileage, because those are really the two key factors. There's a lot of other factors, but those are the two. You start to realize that, wow, there are outliers. There are cars that are either way too expensive, that happens all the time too, but then there are cars that are really, really cheap. And so you want to focus your attention on those cars. And sometimes you want to do further research into those cars, because sometimes there's reasons why they're cheap. Maybe they have a salvage title. It's always been my recommendation to stay away from salvage titles, because the majority of people aren't interested in a salvage title. And remember, it's all about our target market. We want that to be as big as possible. So if we buy a salvage title car, that's going to shrink our market. There's only certain people that are going to be willing to buy that car. People that don't smoke, like myself, we don't want a car that smells like cigarette smoke. And once again, it's all about that target market. Majority of people don't want a car that smells bad. So just do your research. And another thing that I've realized is that cars in metropolitan areas in general are going to be cheaper than cars in rural areas. Now, I've always been fortunate because I like sort of living in a small town. It's always sort of fit my personality. But what that means is that lots of times I'll go to a metropolitan area and I'll buy a car there, and if I bring it back to a rural area, it's going to be worth more. And it all kind of has to do with supply and demand. I mean, in like San Francisco, the Mini Cooper market is a little bit oversaturated. The supply is super high, which kind of drives the prices down. I just completely forgot the most important thing of buying a car, and that's negotiation. How could I forget negotiation? So negotiation. So I have a couple general rules about negotiation. Always negotiate, okay? Never pay the asking price. That's what Craigslist is built off, is negotiation. So never pay the asking price. You can always get it for cheaper, always. So before you go to look at a car, come up with sort of like the maximum price you're willing to pay and stick with it. Don't pay a dime more, okay? Don't let your emotions get involved. Remember, you're the entrepreneur. There's no emotions. So don't pay $1 more than your maximum price, just so that you don't overpay for a car. Because before you see the car, you're thinking correctly. You know what that car's worth. You have that price. When you go to look at it, if it looks really good, you might kind of start thinking in your head, okay, well, I could pay an extra $500. I still think I could make $1,000 or whatever, but just stick with that price. Trust me, stick with the price. There's many times I've walked away from a deal where the difference has been, $200, and I wanted to buy the car so bad. It's like, no, that's your first rule. You got to stick with it. So that's my first rule in negotiation. The second rule, and I think this is the most critical rule, is when you go to look at a car, take cash. That's right, take $100 bills. There's been times I've been walking around Portland, Oregon with $10,000 cash in my pocket. It's kind of scary, but it's sort of like, it's the best negotiation tactic, because when you go to look at a car, if you have cash, it shows that you're serious. And the seller does not want you to walk away. They do not want you to walk away. They're going to be willing to take a little bit less, because by showing that you have cash, that means you're ready to get a deal done, and the deal is going to be finalized then and there, and you're going to be able to drive the car out of the driveway. So by taking cash, your negotiation power is just so much higher, so much higher. I'll give you guys a quick backstory. So that BMW X5 that I had that was awful. So I had it in the wintertime. I had it for 4 months. I couldn't sell it. And the Toyota dealership in town, they had a used Mini Cooper for sale. And generally dealerships, they're overpriced in general. But for some reason, this Mini Cooper, in my mind, is like, that's a pretty good deal. And so the next day, I took the X5. I took $1,200 cash. I had the title for the X5. And I went to that dealership and told them, I'll give you this X5, $1,200 cash for that Mini Cooper. So the sales guy, you know, he's trying to get me to go higher, and like, nope. He's like, okay, well, let me go talk to my manager. So he goes and talks to his manager. He's like, comes back. He's like, we need $4,000 cash. We need 4,000. I'm like, nope, I have 1,200. I took the 12 $100 bills in the envelope on his desk. I have 1,200 bucks. That's all I can do. So like, okay, well, let me go talk to my manager. He comes back. He's like, okay, can you do 2,500? Can you do 2,500? I was like, no, I can only do 1,200. So he's like, okay, let me go talk to my manager. Goes, talks to his manager. You know, I'm sitting there for 5-10 minutes. He comes back and the sales guy is, I don't believe it. My manager says, yes, let's do the deal. So right then and there, 1,200 bucks, gave him the title. And the reason that deal got done is because I made it so easy for them. I had the cash, I had the title, I was ready to go. I stuck with my price and I got the deal done. It was pretty cool. I got that Mini Cooper. I ended up selling it. I think I had that car for like 45 days or so, but I ended up selling it for like $2,500 profit. And I also got rid of that X5, which was like life-changing. I hated that car. The door handle fell off that car at one point. That was, yeah, another day. So selling the car. So there's some cool tips you can do to really maximize the price you can sell the car for. The first thing, when you get a car, get some good pictures of it, okay? That means, you know, get 10 to 15 pictures of the car from every angle, showing the entire car in the picture. You know, I've seen so many Craigslist ads where it's like 3 pictures. One of them is like some random wheel. You know, the other is like the mirror. And then another shot is, you know, the front fender and it's like backlit and there's like sun glare everywhere. And those are bad pictures, okay? You don't need like a professional photographer to take these pictures. An iPhone, you know, your smartphone, whatever, will work totally fine. You know, just get 15 good pictures of the car showing, you know, the car's clean. That's another thing. Keep the car clean. This is a critical step that I think is often overlooked. So if you hear, you know, somebody calls you, they want to come look at the car, get that car clean. Park it in a nice spot where the lighting's really good, where it's easily accessible. Because when that person drives around the corner and they see that car for the first time, you want them to be like, wow, that car looks so clean. You want it to be like they're glistening in the sun. Because selling a car, you know, it's all about that emotional attachment. That's what we're going for, is emotions. And then, you know, when they sit in the car, if it has leather, you know, and the leather just smells really, really good, you know, they're gonna want that car. So many times, you know, when you buy a car, you make that decision kind of in like the first 5 minutes you see it. You decide, you know, that emotional attachment. Remember, we don't have emotions as the entrepreneur, but we're trying to feed off people's emotions. So we want the car to be clean. I mean, we want to sell good cars. We don't want to sell crappy cars, okay? The car should be clean. This isn't some thing to scam people. You want to sell good cars, you know, high, clean, quality cars. So keep the car clean. I mean, nobody wants to look into a car and see dog hair all over the back seat and, you know, Cheez-Its stuck in the carpet, you know, or for it to smell really bad. So, you know, keep the car clean. That is such a critical step that I think is often overlooked. I mean, if you're going to get into buying and selling cars, you're going to be cleaning cars all the time. Trust me, it's just inevitable. You're going to be cleaning the same car over and over and over, but it's a critical part of selling it. You know, when you price the car, when you're selling the car, price it with a little room for negotiation. Okay, Craigslist, it's built off negotiation. Just like you as the buyer, when somebody comes to buy your car, they want to negotiate as well. So leave a little room for negotiation. I've never priced a car firm. Like say if you have a Mini Cooper, you bought it for 10,000, you think it's worth 12, you know, maybe price it at 13. Then they come look at the car, they offer 11, then you can meet in the middle at 12. And then you feel good because you got exactly what you wanted, and then they feel good too because they got a little bit off the asking price. You really want, I mean, this is all about selling good cars. You want the people to be happy with the car. You know, when they drive away, you want them to be happy with the deal. So that's why I've always, you know, priced a little room for negotiation. As far as where I sell the car, you know, I've pretty much always just sold it on Craigslist. I bought cars on Craigslist and sold it on Craigslist. And usually it's from one market to another market. You know, I'll buy a car in San Francisco or whatever, and then, you know, sell it in a different location. Pretty much always use Craigslist. It's a great tool. It's free. You know, there's a lot of spam. You kind of have to deal with a lot of annoying people, but, you know, it's free. And we like free because that doesn't cut into our profit margins. So those are, I guess, you know, the tips I have for selling cars. So as far as dealer licenses, so pretty much every state, I don't know all the rules for every single state, of course, but in general, either A, there's a limit on the number of cars you can buy and sell for a profit if you don't have a license, or B, you can't sell any cars if you have the intent to profit off the transaction. So a cool workaround idea to get around this, I mean, you could get a dealer's license, that's totally possible, but create a partnership with somebody who does have a dealer's license. That's, that's the best way to do it in my mind. And depending on where you live, more than likely, there are people that have dealer licenses all around you. It's not just the local used car dealership. A lot of mechanics, a lot of detailers, pretty much anybody in the automotive industry is gonna have a dealer's license. And what you wanna do is create a partnership with this dealer. And the general, theory behind this partnership is that you'll finance, obviously, all the purchase of the cars that you are buying and selling for profit. So you're financing this whole endeavor. You're gonna do all the research, you're gonna buy the car, you're gonna sell the car, if it needs repairs, you're gonna repair it, you're gonna do everything. But when it comes time to make the final sale and you're processing the transaction, the dealer, that other side of the partnership, they're going to help you with that paperwork, the sales tax, registration, licensing, all that stuff. And in turn, what you're gonna do is you're gonna give them either a percentage of the profits, maybe a flat fee, maybe you'll give them a flat fee per month. I mean, it's really up to, obviously, everybody in the partnership. You can kind of come up with your own terms, whatever works for you and what works for them. So this is my one take video. If you guys have any questions, if I start to see sort of a trend in the questions, I'll make a follow-up video. If you guys enjoyed this video, I hope you'll subscribe, and I'll talk with you next time. Bye. Dun dun dun! What's up guys, I'm the Stradman, and today is gonna be an awesome day. This is a video I've been wanting to film for so long. It's gonna be a compare and